take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
I can feel it in my bones. Yes, it's Reverend Mark Hughes. I'm the executive director of the Vermont Racial Justice Alliance, and you caught me. You caught me again. It is that day. It is the second Wednesday of the month. Somewhere's sneaking up on First African Landing Day in the middle of August in 2024, and I am here on Juxtaposition. Juxtaposition. This is a show. What we're doing this is issues affecting black folks, issues affecting black folks and black folks affecting change. So we'll be with you for about 25 minutes today. I got a couple things, couple updates on some of the things that are happening here around the community, specifically First African Landing Day. So I figured I'd take a little time and explain to you what that thing's all about. I know there's a little bit of some noise going on around the community. Hey, what's going on with that? That thing is that thing back again? Yep, it's back again. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, there's some other stuff to talk about too. This is great. I'm glad to be here. Ran into the studio. I was like booking up the stairs, just trying to get to the desk. This is a live program, so kind of want to be on time. So definitely made it. I'm here. I'm happy. I'm really stoked to be with everybody this evening. Here, excited to give you some updates about some of the things that are happening, and definitely want to get into my first topic of a black governor. A black governor. Yeah. So here's the thing is yesterday, the state of Vermont made some history, and I just want to pause. I've got a group of youth that are at the Richard Kemp Center coming in from time to time, and we were just talking about it today. And I'm like, just take a beat for a minute and just take a step back and take a deep breath. Everybody calm down, and let's talk about the fact that for the first time in the history of the state of Vermont, this is the first time in the history of the state, so it's been, over somewhere around 250 years or something like that. This is a time where we have a black gubernatorial candidate on a major ticket, a black woman gubernatorial candidate on a major ticket. This is the first time in Vermont, in the history of the state of Vermont, that we have a black gubernatorial candidate on the ticket, on a major ticket. So, and I think the reason why it's important to process that for me is because, hey, look, we have a lot of things come and go, and we have a lot of historic firsts, and we don't stop and take a deep breath and realize what was going on. For example, on the 22nd, on the 8th of November in 2022, there was a constitutional amendment that was voted on by everybody in the state of Vermont, and overwhelmingly, we voted to abolish slavery in the state of Vermont. One would ask why. Well, the reason why is because leading up into that time, despite what your teachers have taught you in school, there were provisions within the Constitution that still permitted slavery. Yes, I said that. There were provisions in the Constitution leading all the way up until 2022. And as a result of the work of the Vermont Racial Justice Alliance, we were able to get a constitutional amendment passed. That is something to stop and take a beat on. So you would think that we could stop and take a beat on this too. Now too, also, it's important to understand that this last biennium was the first time that the state of Vermont ever passed an equal protection constitutional amendment. So it has already gone through the legislature. It's already gone through the legislature, both Senate and House, for its first biennium, and it will return to the legislature in 2025, and it will complete its pass through that biennium in 2026, and it too will go to a general referendum, and we will have an equal protection clause within our Constitution, very much like the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which was a baseline equal protection clause that provided the protection required and needed by former enslaved, and is the premise of every civil rights policy or legislation that you would ever want to see. So that's what we're here to do. First of all, we want to talk about that. So we got that in. Now, this whole peculiar thing about First African Landing Day, I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. So if you would please take a look at this slide. And while I'm talking to you about it, just know that you can go out right now, you can go out to firstafricanlandingvt.org. And that's going to come up later in the slide deck. Later on, we'll talk a little bit more about it. It's firstafricanlandingvt.org. I'm going to say it one more time, okay? First African Landing VT, First African Landing VT.org. So you can go out there, and when you hit that site, what you're going to see, and I'm pulling it up as I'm talking to you, firstafricanlandingvt.org, is you're going to see all of the stuff you need to know about what First African Landing is all about. And it's a lot, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it tonight. But the whole thing is out there. First, what I just want to start in with is that there is a commemoration. Okay, so there is a commemoration, and the commemoration is on the 24th. Thanks for bringing that site up. That's what the site looks like for those of you who didn't know. So that's what the site looks like. So you've got that. You see out there. You can go over there and you can look and there's a place for sponsors, folks who are desiring to be sponsors. There's also going to be some sponsors that are posted up there. Tickets. If you want to send some supporting gifts out there. There's various other, which is really cool. There's some places out there where you can actually go and do your homework. So we provided some places out there for doing your homework. That right there, what you're looking at there is the Eventbrite. The Eventbrite, my engineering folks in there are going to town on us tonight. I love this. So you can go in and check out Eventbrite. Thank you very much in there, y'all, for what you're doing. And you can see the actual commemoration itself and all the activities that are going to be going on there. And you can see some pictures of some of the folks that were there last year as well. So just want to make sure that you are going out there and getting your tickets. Get your free tickets today. Get your tickets right now. We put a certain number of the tickets out there for just free. And then we put a small handful of them out there if you want to provide a donation, but you don't need to provide a donation. As much as we appreciate it, it should never cost you anything if you don't have it to attend First African Landing Day. So that's what that's all about. Thank you very much, y'all in the booth. Definitely want to bring your attention also to the theme, and back over here to the slide, you'll see the theme. There's this Nchinchim theme that we're talking about. If you look at this slide here, and it's basically Nchinchim is talking about this whole business of a winding or a twisted course. A winding or a twisted course. And it's all about this year's theme. It's speaking to the wisdom of considering the tenacity of our ancestors as we remain responsive to this continuously changing nature of the path that we march towards justice. So again, First African Landing Day, the path is winding. We want to talk about, what does that mean? What does that look like? Thank you for that slide. What does that mean? What does that look like? We know that sometimes because the path is windy, we have to change strategies. But that never means that we have to necessarily change our vision, because our vision is just as crystal clear as it was day one when we had already decided that we needed to march towards freedom back over 105 years ago. This right here, I brought it with me to show it with you. I grabbed it on the way out of the door to Richard Kim Center, and this is a proclamation. You can't really see it very well, but I'll show it to you on the slide later. It's a proclamation signed by Governor Phil B. Scott, and he signed it on the 24th of August, which is interesting because the 24th of August is coming up here. And this is the first year since we had this event for the first time 6 years ago that it has landed back on the 24th of August. So it feels nice to be home on the 24th of August. Here's what his proclamation says. It says on January 8th, 2018, the Congress of the United States established the 400 Years African American History Commission. The African American History Commission. The duties of this commission are to, quote, plan, develop, and carry out programs and activities throughout the United States appropriate for commemoration, to recognize and highlight the resilience and contributions of African Americans since 1619, to acknowledge the impact that slavery and laws that enforce racial discrimination had and have on the United States, and to educate the public about the arrival of Africans in the United States and the contributions of Africans to the United States. And the duties of the commission are to encourage civic, patriotic, historical, educational, artistic, religious, economic, and other organizations throughout the United States to organize and participate in anniversary activities, to expand understanding and appreciation of the significance of the arrival of Africans to the United States, and the contributions of African Americans to the United States. And the duties of the commission are to provide technical assistance to states, localities, and nonprofit organizations to further the commemoration. And the duties of the commission are to coordinate and facilitate for public scholarly research on publication about interpretation and arrival of Africans to the United States and the contributions of African Americans to the United States. The duties of the commission are to ensure that the commission provides the lasting legacy and long-term public benefit by assisting in the development of the appropriate programs. And also the duties of the commission are finally to help ensure that the observances and commemoration are inclusive and appropriately recognize the experiences and heritage of all individuals present at the arrival of Africans in the United States. So the proclamation is simple. It says this. It says, I, Philip B. Scott, Governor, hereby proclaim August 24 of 2019 as First African Landing Day. He goes on to say, all in the state of Vermont are encouraged to learn about the commemoration of First African Landing Day to expand understanding and appreciation of the significance of the arrival of Africans in the United States and the contributions of Africans to the United States. Then finally he says, the fourth Saturday of August shall be henceforth recognized and commemorated as First African Landing Day in Vermont, given under my hand and the Great Seal of the State of Vermont on this 24th day of August, 2019. So it was proclaimed on the 24th of August, but as you can see, he went on to say that it would be the fourth Saturday. I'll just leave this here, it'll look cute next to me. It'll be the fourth Saturday, there's a little bit glare, of every August. The fourth Saturday of August is First African Landing Day. So that's interesting because this has been going on now. This is our sixth time that we've done it. It was 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and this is 24. So this is our sixth time that we're doing it, and you might ask yourself, where did this come from? First, I want to tell you a little story. The story is when the proclamation arrived here in the city of Burlington in 2019, we were just downstairs from this studio in what used to be referred to as Studio 1A. And in Studio 1A, and while I'm speaking, you could just bring up this slide just to remind folks of what's going on here. We're talking about state of course. This is First African Landing Day. We're talking about First African Landing Day, and that's over. It's going to be at the Richard Kemp Center as well as Intervale Center. And so you'll be able to hang out over at the Richard Kemp, with the youth over at Intervale. They'll be occupying the barn. Quick story that I didn't tell you is we have a handful of youth. My staff in preparing for First African Landing Day are about 15 and 16-year-olds. That's what we're doing this year. So there's a method to our madness. We're having a blast doing it. We had a group of folks do it last year, as well as a group of youth. And that's what we're orienting this on. We're anchoring this work so we can create a legacy in the work that we're doing. So you'll see, lots of good stuff happening down there: food, music, dancing, exhibitors, and so forth. You can table. You can just reach out. Just send a note over to info@vtracialjusticealliance.org, info@vtracialjusticealliance.org, or you can send a note over to info at First African Landing, info@firstafricanlandingvt, info@firstafricanlandingvt.org. You can send a note over there. We can get you set up. Hopefully you'll have a table. You should bring a tent as well. So we're prioritizing. We're trying to get folks in who are from our impacted communities, trying to squeeze folks in. But we want as many folks to participate as possible. All are welcome. So we want to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on. Get out to the website. You can go to the firstafricanlandingvt.org, firstafricanlandingvt.org. There you'll find your breadcrumbs to get over to the website, over to the registration area, rather. Definitely want to get you out there. So here's the story is that, see, back in the day, back in 2018, what was going on is that this was obviously pre-COVID. And leading up to this time, I saw that the 400-year African American History Commission was being planned and legislation was being pushed forward, and it looked like it was imminent in its approval. And ultimately, it was approved. We just told you a little bit about the 400-year African American History Commission. If you go out, you can pull that slide up. If you can go out and take a look, it's 400-year AAH. It's 400-year African American History Commission, aahc.gov is the website. That's the website. You can go out there and you can see more about the commission itself. I'm just showing you the seal right now. Thank you for that. So we figured that out, that was happening. At the same time that was happening, though, this was happening. The 1619 project had just became live. That was in a Pulitzer Prize winning article that was written by Nicole Hannah-Jones, who's from Waterloo, Iowa. And I like to say that because I'm from Waterloo, Iowa. No relation, no relationship. But she wrote this critically acclaimed article called The 1619 Project, which would evolve into a book ultimately, in a children's book, and also curriculum and so forth. So we didn't see that completely on trajectory, but we were able to make the connection. And also, I was able to discover that in Hampton, Virginia, there were ongoing commemorations that they had initiated, and they were ongoing and had been going on for years. Now, let me just pause there for a minute, because Hampton, Virginia is a part of the story. There is a story about the 1619 project, the 1619 event. The 1619 event is the event that is recorded by the secretary of the Virginia Company in 1619. That was commissioned here to come and explore. The secretary, his name was John Rolfe, and this is recorded. And what he recorded was he recorded that 20, quote, odd Negroes got off a boat called the White Lion in what was then called Point Comfort, Virginia. Point Comfort, Virginia. Now, of course, there was Portuguese colonial, Spanish colonial, French colonial, all types of colonial. Now we're talking about English colonial United States, because clearly that is what would become the United States. And this is the first recorded English colonial sighting of black folks stepping foot on territory that would ultimately become the United States, and immediately they were traded for articles. So this was the first time that they stepped foot, but ominously what we also discover is these folks were trades folk. Some were blacksmiths, some were irrigationists, some were agriculturalists, and so forth. And it is recorded, one family in particular has roots that go all the way back to that time, black family. Many of the names are recorded. That family is Turner, by the way. So what we come to understand and what we come to see is that, in fact, the black presence in what would become the United States predates most white presence in the United States, what would become the United States of America, because if you do your math, you'll find out that even the Mayflower did not arrive until after 1619. Then there is the whole conversation about the participation and the contribution that black folks have had throughout all history in all things across the entire arc of history. So we'll talk more about that later, but that is what we're commemorating. What we're commemorating is the resilience and the contribution. And there's a whole story that's told, ironically, or just sadly, is that the ship White Lion, it was a pair of ships actually. One landed in Jamestown and one landed in what was then Point Comfort. They were actually ships that were pirate ships. They were commissioned pirate ships that intercepted another ship that was delivering slaves to a part of Mexico. They intercepted that ship, stole what was the cargo, and which happened to be slaves, and brought them back. And then they would become, they would port at Point Comfort, which is now known as Hampton, Virginia. You should know, I'll pause there for a minute, and I'm just filling you in on all of the blanks, and this is why we commemorate, this is why we're here, is that every year the Hampton, from the Hampton Museum in Hampton, Virginia, we acquire the 1619 traveling exhibit. And the 1619 traveling exhibit is on display today in the Richard Kemp Center, and will be on display in the Richard Kemp Center throughout this entire process. So in addition to the activities that will be happening at the Intervale Center, as well as the shuttle that will be going back and forth from Intervale Center to the Richard Kemp Center. Within the Richard Kemp Center, there will be the regular cultural arts, which are our permanent fixture within the Richard Kemp Center. We will have some relaxing activities that you can appreciate while you're there. But also you'll see the 1619 traveling exhibit, and you see up there that's just a part of the website. If you go over to the website, that's interesting. Thank you for pulling that up. You can learn all about the 1619 traveling exhibit. You can also learn about many of the things that I just told you about this history of 1619, because we've documented much of that on the website, and we just made it as easy as possible for you to be able to take a look at. I want to bump you over to this next slide so you can just have an opportunity to take a look at that proclamation yourself. And as you're looking at that, and it's a little bit of an eye chart, but I want you to look at it because this is the proclamation. And I wanted to finish the story that I started about the proclamation is that in 2018, prior to the first, because our first African landing day was in 2000, it was August 24th, 2019. But in 2018, the work of the Vermont Racial Justice Alliance led to the creation of the Racial Equity Executive Director for the state of Vermont. And we thought it was apropos, and it was really, it really touched my heart the first time that I met the current executive director of the Office of Racial Equity, who has been in that position since its inception. Her name is Susanna Davis. She arrived at First African Landing Day, our first African Landing Day, carrying that document. So she brought that document from the governor. This was in her hands, and she said, "Good afternoon, I'm Susanna Davis. I am the executive director of racial equity for the state of Vermont, and this is from the governor." So I thought it was a really great experience. It was awesome. I thought it was nice to meet her on those particular terms. Want to go back to at some point or another talking a little bit more about what's going on with this event. Again, for those of you who are tuning in, we're talking about First African Landing Day. It's a thing. It's a thing. Take a look at this symbol again and see if you can say it. Inchinchim. 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 That means the way is winding. It's a twisted way that we're going here. Things are going in a lot of different directions. And we got to be able to adapt. Thank you for that. And that's what the whole theme of First African Landing Day is about. We're always themed, always have a message. We always have something to bring. I'm excited because there's going to be a bunch of youth there. I'll whip you through some support opportunities. There is a silver level support opportunity for $2,500, a gold level support opportunity for $5,000, and a next level support opportunity for $10,000. So we're continuing to raise money for this. Thank you for those. Continuing to raise money as we do the work. We're just a little bit over about, I'd say, just a little bit over a week out. We're doing everything we can to squeeze in and meet those deadlines. FirstAfricanLandingVT.org is where you'll want to go. FirstAfricanLandingVT.org. Again, FirstAfricanLandingVT.org. If you go out to that website, everything you need to know about the history. There's even a place out there that summarizes each year that we've done this. It gives you a summary of each year that this has happened. There's a place out there that gives you some background on the history of 1619. And there's a place that you can go where it will show you, there's even videos that we've connected you to out there. There's a place out there where you can go to volunteer. There's a tab out there on the top of the page on the far right that says volunteer sign up. You might want to show up. As a matter of fact, we're doing a bunch of things in the community. I'm going to encourage you to look out to our website, and that's going to be updated here probably tonight. But what I can tell you is we've already started some community events, some community outreach events, because you don't do stuff like this without doing everything you can do to try to bring the community together. Because if you get the sense that we're moving without you, then you're feeling excluded. We don't want to do that. Everybody is invited. We want everybody to be a part of these activities. We have a brunch that's going to be happening on this upcoming Saturday from 11 to 1. Next week, I think on the 20th, there'll be a community dinner. All of this is happening at the Richard Kim Center. A couple of opportunities to volunteer. There will be at least 2 meetings, one tomorrow evening for sure. I don't have my notes in front of me, but you'll just be able to look at the site and see, to be able to show up for opportunities to volunteer and to just get involved. So anything you want to do involving yourself with this, whether it's volunteering, you can show up there at the park, you can stop into the Richard Kim Center, take a look at the 1619 traveling exhibit. That's going to be open from 12 until 5, from Tuesday till Friday, from 12 till 5, from Tuesday through Friday, leading up into this. The day of the event, of course, you can show up, get your tickets, because that's how we're going to figure out how we're going to get the food. Again, get your tickets, because if you don't get your tickets, what we're going to do is we're going to end up in a situation where we don't know what's going on. So thanks, yeah, that's it. We come to the end. So it's Mark, Vermont Racial Justice Alliance Executive Director. Reverend Mark Hughes, it's been good to have you on the program tonight, and I hope to see you all at over at Intervale when it comes down to First African Landing Day, because we certainly would love to see you there. Everybody should show up, get involved. Good night.
My people with me, together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling me to answer?
Slam every guarder down